Okay, so in 3.9, what we're going to do is we're going to take everything we just learned about function notation in 3.8, and we're going to use that to find the equations of linear functions. Okay, so we've literally done this already with linear equations. Everything you've already done before, probably since 8th grade or before, in basically Algebra 1. Okay, but you use the equation y equals mx plus b. All right, and you found some slope, you found some y-intercept, you found the equations, all that stuff. We're going to do the same thing, but instead of writing y, we're going to write f of x. Crazy. It's really, really simple. Just different way of thinking of it, different notation we got to get used to. Okay, so jumping right into examples because there's nothing really new to learn here, new content. We just got to learn how to apply it to different notation. Okay, so we're going to find the equation of a linear function if the slope is 1/3 and f of 6 equals 0. Now remember that f of x equals y. Okay, so what that tells us is y equals 0 and 6 equals x, right? So we have, in the f of x equals mx plus b, we've got 3 of the 4 things we're looking for. So what we're going to do is just plug them all in, and we'll find the equation, right? Because we can find the y-intercept then. So remember, we've got f of x equals mx plus b. So I take our m and plug it in, 1/3. I've got an x, right, because x equals 6, right, f of x. And we have f of 6 equals 0. And f of 6 is 0. So f of 6 here is 0 plus b. Okay, solve for b. We'll have 0 equals 2 plus b, subtract 2 over, and b equals -2. All right, so that's helpful. But we want the actual equation. Okay, so f of x equals 1/3 x minus 2. That's the answer. Number 2, all right, a little bit more difficult, a word problem. Okay, so we've got this endurance test. You get a 140 out of 175. We're going to find the rule and use it to convert the score to a scale of 1 to 100. Okay, so what we need to do is we need to find a function rule. Function rule is just a really fancy word for slope. Okay, so how do you find slope? Well, if you think about it, if you got 175 over 100, right? So we've got, let's define our variable. So f of x is going to be the 170 or the 100 scale, right? Because that's what we want. That's the output in our function rule. And x is going to be the 175 scale. Okay, so those what those two are going to mean. The input is you input that 175 scale, chug it through our function rule, and it'll pop out a scale from 1 to 100 or 0 to 100. Okay, so what we need is we need the slope of that, right? The slope of this function. Well, it's set up really well for us because we know that slope is change in f of x or change in y over change in x. That triangle thing is a Greek letter delta, means change. Okay, so change in f of x over change in x. So the change in f of x is 100, right? Because 1 to 100 or 0 to 100, and the change in x is 175. So it makes that really easy for us. You know that the slope is just 100 over 175, which reduces to 4/7. So our function rule, our equation, is f of x equals 4/7 x. Okay, so if you take your 175 scale, you multiply it by 4/7, it'll pop out with a scale from 1 to 100 or 0 to 100. Okay, so we need to find f of 140 because that's what we got on that scale. So 4/7 times 140, multiply that out, and you're going to get 80. Bam, bam, all done. Okay, all right, now just a bunch of things, finding the equation of a line basically given some information. So first couple are pretty easy. I give you the slope and I give you a point. Remember, if I give you f of a number equals another number, that's me giving you a point. This is the same as point 0, 12, right? Because x is 0 and y would be 12. Right, so f of x equals mx plus b. Remember that we're working with this whole time. I'm not going to write it every time, but know that that's the equation we're working with. Okay, so I've got f of x is the same as y, so that's 12. M is -3, x is 0. B is going to be, right, 0 times -3 cancel each other out, so b is 12. So the function is f of x equals -3x plus 12. Good stuff. In 4, we've got 9, right, is our y, equals 3 times 0 plus b. Okay, really easy again. These cancel each other out. B is 9, so f of x equals 3x plus 9. Very simple. Let's go to some more. This one, once again, I give you a slope and a point. So we've got 7 equals 4 times 2 plus b. So we've got 8, subtract that over, and b equals negative 1. So our function is f of x equals 4x minus 1. And number 6, now I'm going to start giving you 2 points. So you need to find the slope on your own. Now remember that we have, so these 2 points, we've got 0, 3, and 4, 1. You should remember doing these types of problems. You need to find the slope and then plug a point in to find your y-intercept. So we've got m equals change in y, 3 minus 1 over change in x. 2 over negative 4 is negative 1/2. So that's my slope. Plug in a point. Plug in the easy one, 0, 3. Usually if there's a 0, you plug that one in because it makes it easier. Negative 1/2 times 0 plus b cancels out. B is 3. So f of x equals negative 1/2 x plus 3. Good. Number 7. Points again. So m equals change in y, 12 plus 2 over the change in x, 3 minus 5. We have 14 over negative 2, which is negative 7. Now I plug in a point. Negative 2 equals negative 7 times 5 plus b. Subtract or add that 35 over, and b equals 33. So our equation is f of x equals negative 7 x plus 33. Good stuff. And this last one with 2 points, we need to find our slope. 4 minus 2 over 12 minus 3. Make sure you're consistent in your x1, x2, and y1, y2. We have 2 over 9 as our slope. That sucks, but we deal with it. Okay, so plug them into the equation to find our b. 2/9 times 3 plus b. Okay, so 3 times 2/9 is 6/9, which is just 2/3. So 2 minus 2/3 is 1 1/3, which is 4/3. Oh, not using y, dummy, me. Okay, f of x equals 2/9 x plus 4/3. Good stuff. And the last one is another word problem. So with this word problem, what we're going to do is we're going to talk about this piece of machinery. It loses $15 each month. Okay, the value after 1 year is $22.50. What's the initial value? Well, we need to find our x and our f of x. So x is going to be months, right? Months that you own it. And the y, or the f of x, the dependent variable, is going to be the value, right? And we know that m is going to be value lost per month. Right? The change in the x. And our b is going to be the initial value. Okay, so we have a whole lot of stuff. Because we have, after 1 year, remember that tells us 12 months. Okay, so we've got f of x equals you losing $15 per month plus the initial value. So you start with the initial value, and you're going to keep losing $15 a month. Okay, so f of x, so after 1 year, the value is $22.50. You're using 15 per month, and it's been 1 year or 12 months at that point. We're going to find the initial value. So we need to do 15, negative 15 times 12. We get 180. 22.50. That's not a 5. 50 equals negative 180 plus b. Add the 180 over. You get b equals 24.30. So the initial value was $2,430. That's it for this section.